Welcome back everybody, Dave the Gamer. Today just want to make a fast video on the differences to keep in mind when you're trying to decide if you're playing rogue in PvP. Do you want to go swords or daggers? I want to quickly break down the pros and cons of each. So daggers, the big pros: big burst. Starting daggers are easy to get. You can buy a lot of them off the auction house. Pretty easy. The talents that you get will break snares. So if you're facing a bunch of druids that are rooting you or mages, they have built-in ways to escape with the extended sprints to get out of that. So they're pretty dang good for BGs. So looking at the cons for the daggers. So the top level daggers are very tough to get your hands on because there's lots of tanks that also want to get those daggers. So makes it a little tougher, and the drop rates are a lot lower there overall. They aren't the best in duels. I mean, they're not terrible, don't get me wrong, but depends on the class that you're going against. You have that short little window to burst them, where a heavy tank might give you a little bit more of a challenge. There is no master deception talent. You're going to go the opposite direction. So overall, you're able to be like found from other, like if you were to fight a sword rogue or a druid or someone like that, they're going to be able to find you before you can find them. So that could be very tough, especially in duels. And then you have to be behind the target to do maximum damage. So if a class realizes that you're using daggers, they're going to make it where you can't get behind them, making it very difficult outside your initial burst. Looking at swords. So swords, the pro, big burst, not as big as daggers, I would say. They do still have a big window to really do some nice bursts. Starting swords, though, are pretty easy to get. You get one through a dungeon quest. You can pick up some decent ones off the auction house. Not too bad. They are absolutely amazing in duels. The stun lockdown is ridiculous. If played right, between stuns, blind, sap, someone could like not even get a chance to even play the game. You could hold them down for 30 seconds if done right, and completely annihilate any class. So amazing in duels. They are top tier in PvP as well. Daggers, you know, they're definitely up there. I think swords have a little bit more of an edge overall. Yeah, realistically, they're just dominating in PvP, or PvE and PvP. So the con. The top level swords are tougher to get because you are going to also, once again, you're going to be battling against some of your tanks, some of your warrior DPS, some other classes that want the same swords, and they don't have a high drop rate, so it is very tough. You do struggle versus roots and snares. So, you know, you can use your vanish to get out of the first root or snare, but if they hit you again with that, you're in some trouble. You don't have the improved sprint, so you can't just break snares as easy. So that is something that you'll really keep in mind in. You're very reliant on cooldowns. So your burst window is because you're very reliant on cooldowns. From the cold-blooded eviscerate, your preparation, all of that, very reliant on that. So it's a 5-minute cooldown on most of those. I think up to 8 minutes on preparation, 10 minutes. So in BGs, it's a little tough for the fact that you want to try to lock someone down. Well, if you have to lock them down, it gives so much extra time for someone to come up. That's why they're better in duels than essentially in BGs. They're not terrible in BGs. You can definitely get your little burst off. But then you have to wait for that next cooldown. Compared to daggers can go right in, and their backstab does as big as damage as the cold-blooded eviscerate. And then you do need 5% hit from your gear, which is the tough part. So daggers, there's other ways with the talents and different things. You can get the gloves, where here you need to get 5% from the hit. So you do need to make sure to maximize how much damage you're doing in PvP wise, that you have to have that 5%. Hopefully this breakdown was a little bit helpful with your decision on swords or daggers. Let me know below, which one do you use for PvP and why? Love to hear it, and until next time, game on.